Good afternoon. Welcome to The Pulse. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle, Accra, on digital address GA099253. Our headlines this afternoon: investigations underway into fire outbreak at the Odona market here at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, destroying large volumes of wares belonging to traders there. This afternoon, we take you live there as President Akufo-Addo visits the scene of the destruction. Also coming up today, government continues trade accusations with Martin Amidu, special prosecutor, who resigned Monday, alleging interference in his work by President Akufo-Addo. And we continue our remembrance of former President Jerry John Rawlings, who died last week. We'll bring you sights and sounds as dignitaries sign a book of condolence in his honor at the Accra International Conference Center, one of his legacy projects. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all on JoyNews TV. We'll be back with more. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. This afternoon, we take you live to the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where fighters took several hours from midnight to contain an inferno, which eyewitnesses say started from the Odona market. We are learning the president is heading there this afternoon. It is unclear whether there were 80 casualties beyond the destruction of traders' wares running into thousands of Ghana cedis. My colleague Benjamin Akakpo has been speaking with some of the traders who are blaming officials of the fire service for arriving late when they were called and with little water.
Quelling the fire. We are getting wet, we are getting heated up, but we're still here with them, following all the action. So the scenes are still ongoing, the Ghana National Fire Service. In fact, you can see some of the people who trade here assisting the Ghana Fire Service. When you look there, the gentleman there, he's not a fire service officer. Be careful as we actually get a bit closer. A lot more smoldering going on there. In fact, if you come this way, you can see more flames still very much alive and burning. And here we are with some more people. Mommy, Pacho morning.
Good morning.
What JoyNews? Now, Pacho, when you are out on your mouth,
aye, me turn your mouth. I have say me shop ni.
then I will turn.
Me turn support champagne, any biscuits.
And I store and what you tell me.
Me turn.
It is a saying that you said, Bibiashe,
Bibiashe, what I say. Me never nash. Then come me Bibia, what I say.
Not to say near much, I say, wash the bois. A bay saying.
And your mama should cry, I brought 70 million.
7,000 Ghana.
Ah, if I shop near me, no, I a boom, I near my a woman.
Shops me,
I a boom, I say. Ninash.
Now, to say, Dana wouldn't him ever send a Jana started. Then on my country.
Send a Jana started and the time I started and Naminia. Naminia. Your friends say, Jatum, now, just said the Husana. Now, you started free, I say. And you say, a baba crisis here. You are said, just a baby, Pia, Shin, say, shop or Nash. It will be a new I can't be home.
Now, Mamma Tony Mahana, many of you Macasa, I almost say, Usha. Then the bit me, I had not just as I just yes, I know, and the first time I do a AC. Then you bet me I
5 times. I brought 5 times Nikra. You market Yashi.
That was Benjamin Akakpo interacting with some of the market women victims of the fire outbreak. Let's take you live now to the Odona market, where President Akufo-Addo is about to address the victims of the inferno. My colleague Elton Brobe is there. He will be also giving us some updates from there. But let's listen to the president who's addressing the market women.
The church will be moi, bansu betumi di aba beboa wo wona tumi asa wona di mase na wire na wa ha no so so no aban ba be yo wire wo market so wo kra nyina ba be ni na ya se bibisa ma baby sa ensebio ti mo to wo ase bibi abe ye e be ga ni aye bibi a me da maso nya mi samu ya ba ko me da maso ba
Sights and sounds from the Odona market where the President Akufo-Addo is currently addressing traders, and you could see how the traders are also responding to the President. My colleague Elton Brobe is with the President there. He will be speaking to us shortly and tell us more about what the President has been telling the traders and how the traders have been responding. Elton, if you can hear me, what more can you report from the President's visit to the Odona market?
What have you been briefed so far?
Well, I think that the fire started somewhere about 2 a.m. thereabout and gutted the entire place. As you can see, a lot of people's containers and wares have all been bent down. Yeah. And so we have had meeting. We had a meeting with the leadership of the market. The Deputy Regional Minister herself was here. The Deputy Regional Minister was here. Then we have the Chief Executive of the area, the Regional Police Commander. We had the District Police Commanders, Fire Service Regional Commander, and all the team were all here. And immediately we went around and set the place, first of all, to try and make sure that people will not take advantage and go in and steal items that belong to other people. Of course, the military too have been part of it to ensure that we had safety and properties were being protected. We quickly met them and we assured them that they should come. We expressed the fact that the entire government, and of course, as a follow-up to it, you've seen the president here. The president is concerned about what has happened, and so he had to come himself. We assure them, and we express the fact that we are happy that we have not lost life. You know, we are sad, however, and worried about the spate of fire outbreaks here and there in some of the markets. We at NADMO, we have been doing a lot of public education. Some of your stations have hosted us to teach. We've been in the markets, the various markets, to educate people, to ensure that we nip those kind of hazards in the back so that we don't have disasters of this nature.
So let's talk about the president's promise to them and how you're going to go about it. Reiterate what the president said he would do for the market women who have had their works destroyed by the fire.
Well, I think that one thing I heard, because was the fact that the markets were all going to be taken care of. They were going to barricade the entire areas. That is to ensure that at a certain time when we ensure that the markets are closed, everybody will close it and move out. People who are sleeping in the market, cooking in the market, those are some of the causes. Apart from the fact that people get quack repairers to repair their gadgets, people don't buy the right gadgets to fix in their various places. We have a lot of people who are using gas and who are not taking good care and are not handling it very, very well in the market. And these are things we have gone ahead to do a lot of education. And yet we have people flouting these things in the markets. And so we've had discussion with them. We've also met with the Deputy Regional Minister, and we are looking at the way forward. Okay. We have had a database. Okay. We've ensured that we look at everybody who is selling in the market, their pictures, what they are doing, what they are selling, their telephone numbers. You know, there's been an extensive data work base that we have here. So we know everybody in the market.
So how soon will the compilation start so that they can start benefit from what the president just promised them?
As we have started now, as we are talking now, we have people who are doing the assessments. Are you with me? Yeah. So that we just oppose it against the database that we have already. And then as we are speaking now, the NBSSI, as I said, they are working on it to ensure that some monies would be advanced to them, to cushion them. And all of these things are being done now. It's not as though how soon is it going to be. There are meetings that are taking place as we are speaking now to ensure that those things are put in place quickly. They are expected to bring certain informations apart from the ones that the Assembly has so that we can validate all of those things to know that indeed you are the one who qualify for A or B or C. So, and those things are being done.
So, Mr. Kwabena, some hours down the line, you've been working with the Ghana National Fire Service. Have you been able to establish the cause of this fire?
The cause of this fire, no, we cannot say it just within the spur of the moment. Some investigations have to go in. We give ourselves just a couple of days, by which time it should be ready.
So, going forward, is the plan to clear this area off?
And of course, some of them have expressed interest in concern about their loans that they have contracted from banks and things. And we have assured them that we will speak with their banks. The reports that will come out would also give them copies so that they can file in their banks to ensure that they can give them grace period. Aside that, we also want to see the best. We're going to look at how to get our psychologists to talk to some of them and calm their nerves and calm their tensions down. So that, and I think even the president's visit to the place, you can feel the morale. And you know that this is a man that the people have trust in. And they know that he's going to deliver. Once he says he is going to deliver.
My final question will be, as we move on this, are you going to barricade the place such that you have no access to it? What is the plan for them, especially those who think that this has remained their livelihood for years?
Yes, of course. We are going to barricade the place. We need to do that immediately. And that's to ensure that other people do not take advantage and jump in. As we speak now, after at the meeting that we did, we agreed that the military and the police are taking over the place immediately. And the executives of the market have agreed that the military and the police will take in. Nobody is going in. Once the fire service is done with their assessment of what the cause is and we can ascertain everything else, then we've actually even put a committee in place. And they have 3 representation on. We have the police on, we have fire service on, we have NADMO on, we have the works engineers, and the committee is to report directly to the Chief Executive, Honorable Ni Ajetawiya, on issues and the way forward. Of course, with myself coming in to ensure that we all work together to relieve the pain of the people and to ensure that the promise of His Excellency the President is fulfilled, and that will bring relief to the people of the market here.
Mr. Archibald Kobena is the Greater Accra Regional Director of NADMO. Let me speak to a fire service personnel here, Mr. J. First, tell us, can you look into my camera? What have you identified so far since you started fighting this fire from last night?
It's too early. Investigation is a difficult aspect of the whole firefighting institution. It is not easy to identify issues, but we are sampling evidences and we deduce that to come out of the cause of the fire. So I will entreat you to exercise a little bit of restraint so that we can get to know the actual cause of the fire, because within the space of just 2 years, another incident has occurred, and we need to find out the cause and address it holistically.
But this fire started last night or the early hours of today. I still see smoke coming out of the place. Is it to suggest that there's still fire beneath the smoke?
Yes, because some of the containers have padlock sealed in them, and there's a lot of goods in them which have burnt, so they will definitely generate smoke. So as we speak, that is what we are seeing. But the fire has been extinguished. But those in the containers are that one emitting the smoke.
Was it difficult fighting it? I can see access to the place is quite an issue.
Very, very difficult, because there's no access into the market. Every place is covered. And getting into the seat of the fire was a difficult one. And we would find a way of planning so that in the near future, in case of any incident, it will not affect a vast land like this.
My final question will be, how soon can you assure residents of Accra in this environment that we will no longer see the smoke that we are seeing now? How soon can you effectively and efficiently put out this fire?
The men are on the ground working. So I believe if the close of the day, latest by tomorrow morning, I believe we will not see any smoke.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And so, Gifty, we are coming to you live from Adona, the scene of the fire, which started in the early hours of yesterday. And I was just speaking to the regional commander of the... right, so he's the regional commander of the Greater Accra, Deputy Chief Officer of the Fire Service. Has he been telling us about what they've done so far in bringing the fire under control? As we heard earlier, President Akufo-Addo was here, and the promise is that NADMO, together with the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, will begin the process of compiling the names of those whose wares or whose property were affected by the outbreak, and to see how best government can, assist them to restart their business. Secondly, they will look at dealing with issues relating to access to market to ensure that the fire that started last night, so we still see smoke coming out of the place, is addressed across all markets across the country. So basically, this has been the news. This has been the takeaway going forward. The assurance is that the military and the police is taking over this place. They're going to barricade it. Nobody will have access to it until they can say that they've been effectively bring the fire and everything under control here.
The Elton Brobe, who is our man following the president at the Odona market to visit the traders who are infected by the inferno. There is more on the Odona market because MCE Samuel James, Ni Ajetawiya, and Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister Elizabeth Sake have also been to the scene speaking with the traders.
And Mr. Biara say onye na sun non tie ye. Wa hu brasimo ni edikane say enopeya na meti wo Peace FM say asema esini. No kwara asem ni say mohwe se na mede gina ho a obatan mintumi entwen endresse enhyemhye miniama nsa maba ha. Enti na meji dressing say na maba ha no. Me yamo shemi Niedikano, me mamu kuse, ene mundue nso, efise ye shed, mra ye womu ya. Uhu se eye mrebia, edwadifo akọ akototo niama edi abadwoma wo mo hwe kwan se yenso niama no ho hia ye no ye beba abetoto na ye de akoye mfie na fofi anto ata na ye hu ne esi me shamu kura ashamu din se afeti mo mampa na yenso ye betoto niama ye wo ha no mimita to niama wo ha min sheda yi mi ho adi nso mi ta de wo ha pa na afeti mi so pa efise mi wure mu aminim se me ko this side ntamafo wo ha me ko ha dukufo wo ha me ko ha ntosifo wo ha nti mi nso afeti mi pa nti na ama anopei mi ti asem no mi si debi e wo se mi di meka eba ha no eno ne nia edi kan a me bisaye ina ne toso mi enu me bisaye data of the market ina wo mama me all the information enti ye ko susu hu na ya hwe kwan a ye befa so ama obibiara kuma atoni yem.
Though we are sorry for what has happened, this will give us the opportunity to redo the whole thing anew. So in a better manner, and I believe that will help forestall some of these things in the future.
So a better manner would mean like maybe at the KGTR market and others.
Exactly.
Better access roads for the fire service.
Exactly.
Electricity connections, are they going to be better?
Better. In fact, we have engaged the leadership here and they are much aware of this. All this thing. Yes.
Assuming me and you are running a shop. I go in the morning, you come in the night. When you come in the night, what do you do before you take over?
Tell me.
I should tell you, definitely, if we are running a shop, whatever sales I've made, you check the where's a goods that has left before you can take over. You can continue from wherever I come from. So the appliances there, those operational men running it, when they come in the morning, they will check whether oil is inside, fuel is inside, water is inside. So there's no way appliance will move from a station to a fire scene and there's no water. At times, you will see our appliances replenishing elsewhere. Wherever any appliances go and discharge water, you need to fill it before it comes back to the station. So there's no way appliance will move from the station and then to the fire scene, you will tell me there is half water. Secondly, the way the public sees the size of the tender, they thought every place is full of water. All the tenders that we have, when it's fully charged, when we run our hose and it's fully charged, they open all the delivery. Within 5 minutes, whatever inside is in the appliance will finish. Our biggest tanker is 3,000. And I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, when we fully open the hose, 5 minutes, it will get empty. So even when we get to the fire scene, we control the water. And then when we look at the size of the fire, we call for reinforcement to come and assist. So there's no way a tender will move from the station to the fire scene.
So I'm sure that is what the people saw here, and they are mistakenly saying that it was here for about 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it ran out of water. That's what they are seeing.
That's what they are saying. I've told you within 5 minutes when we open the food delivery, it will be empty. So even when you are the scene, you decide to go to the runabout. Before you come and I'm telling you the water is finished, you tell me it's empty. That's what they are seeing.
But you had to use a certain vantage point to shoot the water. Even earlier today, I saw it because there was no access, right?
Exactly. And even fighting fire, as I'm standing here, and there's a fire in this building, this store, I intend to start to flash the water on it. It doesn't get to the seat of the fire. So even I can throw half of the water and that fire will not go off unless I see the seat of the fire. So even like you are saying, when they were standing far away shooting the water was not hitting the fire. So still it will be rigid. So it gets to access of the fire before it can put off.
So do you have reinforcements that has come in now?
As at now, like I told you, the PRO can tell you number of appliances that have come to the scene. I can't tell you number of appliances that have come.
Looking at the scene here, how long do you think it will take before we can actually
so honestly,
break this fire? Because when you go around, there are still pockets of fire. Look.
Hello. These fires cannot spoil anything. Whatever you are seeing, it can't spoil anything. And even when we put it off, there's nothing we can take out of it.
That is from the Dodona market. Let's stick with fire, but this time in the Volta region, because 2 persons died after they suffered various degrees of burns in a fire incident at the LPG filling point of the Mighty Energy Kings gas station in the Volta regional capital of Ho. More than 13 persons who also suffered burns are being treated at the Ho Teaching Hospital. However, efforts are being made to refer some of the victims to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for further medical attention. Fred Kwame Asare has more in this report.
The unfortunate incident occurred in the early hours of Wednesday, 11th November 2020. It took the swift response and intervention of the Ghana National Fire Service to put out the fire and prevent it from spreading to other departments of the facility. However, 15 persons, including pump attendants, suffered burns between 60% and 97%. Unfortunately, 2 of the victims have been reported dead, while the rest 13 are receiving treatment at the Ho Teaching Hospital. Dr. John Tampori is the Ho Teaching Hospital Acting Chief Executive Officer.
It's just not right to have as many as 13 lying close to one another. They will be infecting one another. And if you look, you saw that on the right, the first one's infection has set in. The skin is dirty, has already infection. So what we are going to do is to isolate those from the rest, because it will spread to the rest. So if you remember, the head of department was saying that they have taken that decision, even though they hadn't consulted. So I said, fine, I mean, this is professional thing, so do it, and you have my support. So they are moving them out to a different place so as to reduce. And there must be enough air, light, and so on. It all helps with recovery. And there are even special beds that you have in such centers. It's like water boiling. So you see, when the skin that is not healthy is attached to a place for long, it forms a sore. But with those kind of beds, because of the changing, they are not having direct and constant touch. So sore formation, which we call bed sores, are limited. And so these people recover faster and are able to go back to do whatever they do. They are negotiating already with Kolebu. They have a very good facility to see whether they can take a few of them so that we can have much more time for the few that will remain. So efforts are being made in that direction.
Nonetheless, the Volta Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Divine Bosson, made a personal donation of 2,000 Ghana cedis to the victims.
Today, and it is very, very horrible. I was even dropping tears at the hospital. I was dropping tears because looking at the condition of the people, how they were feeling the pain, you can see it on their face and everything. I realized it was not just a mere disaster or any disaster that we've been battling with. This is a gas explosion at a filling station. I couldn't help than to sign a check of 2,000 to support them, and I'm calling on every well-meaning Ghanaian, every well-meaning Voltarian, everybody living in Ghana watching this news to come to my aid or to the aid of the victims at the hospital.
Fred Kwame Asare, JoyNews. Ho.
That was Fred Kwame Asare with that report from the Volta regional capital of Ho. We're live on the Pulse. We're also live from our studios in Kokomlemle on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, on JoyNews TV. We'll be back shortly with more on the Pulse. Welcome back to the Pulse. We're live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address 099233925 and also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram on JoyNews on TV. Now, on Tuesday, November 11, 2014, the then Speaker of Parliament, Edward Doajao, brought the process of approving the Plant Breeders Bill, which is now referred to as the Plant Variety Protection Bill, to a halt and called for further consultations with all stakeholders before proceeding. This was to enable the promoters of the bill to engage in wider consultations with stakeholders to ensure that the provisions of the bill are reflective of the collective goals of the populace and is not inimical to the plight of farmers and food security in Ghana. There were no further consultations since then until the end of the 6th Parliament. Today, the bill has been passed by Parliament in what campaigners say happened on their blind side. Today, the Food Sovereignty Platform, made up of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Food Sovereignty Ghana, Vegetarians Association of Ghana, Rastafarian Council of Ghana, Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organization Development, and Ghana Muslim Mission, and the Ghana Trade and Livelihood Coalition are here to throw more light on the issue. In the studio with me is Edwin Kweku Ando Bafo, who is Director of Communications, Food Sovereignty Ghana. Good to see you.
Thank you, thank you.
So what are your concerns about this new plant variety bill?
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. Food Sovereignty Ghana, together with the collective of our platform, has been opposed to this bill because we find it rather pandering towards the interests of powerful multinational plant breeders rather than the local farmer. We've opposed certain clauses in this bill because we feel that Ghana under the WTO, the World Trade Organization agreement, is free to develop what we call a sui generis system, which is a system which is peculiar to your own kind of condition in your country. And countries like Thailand, countries like India, countries like Ethiopia have done this. They've been able to formulate their own plant variety protection. So we've called on the government to ask why in particular this regime has been chosen, which is the UPOV compliant regime of plant variety protection. And this is a highly inflexible regime which doesn't take care of the true interests of the local farmer. You know, Ghana has signed the Nagoya Protocol also, and the Nagoya Protocol affords or it obligates Ghana to protect the rights of farmers to save and exchange and sell seeds. Now, currently under this regime, because of the patenting of seeds, seeds will belong to the entities that patent them. And so we feel that farming communities will be disadvantaged where they are charged exorbitant prices for seeds, but it was their very ancestors that developed these seeds over centuries. So we have a fundamental problem with the fact that there was very little consultation done. The number of stakeholders you mentioned is even longer than that. We have the Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Office of the Chief Imam. We have a long list, even international people who've joined the petition. And so we feel that it should have been right for this new parliament under the leadership of President Nana Akufo-Addo to recall all stakeholders together and discuss this in an open and transparent manner, because this is about food, and food is a basic human right. And like you said, it was caught on the blind side, and we feel that the president should not sign this bill.
You made the point that this whole bill or law is hostile to smallholder farmers in particular, and generally to farmers. What really are you talking about?
You see, the government is trying to say that they want to create a bill to protect plant variety, to protect the innovation of plant breeders. And there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, we don't have an issue with that. We support innovation. The only thing we're saying is that it should not come at the expense of the poor farmer. Poor farmers, in the way that they have behaved over centuries, exchange seeds with their neighbors, they exchange seeds with friends. Our problem is that these patented seeds are going to end up being exchanged and sold by these poor farmers anyway, and then they become criminalized again, according to the law of Ghana. We are also saying that there's no benefit sharing scheme in the bill. So we're saying that different communities in Ghana have provided the germplasm that these companies come to Ghana to take. And if it was a proper regime, you would have those communities who developed whatever it is. So for instance, if it's the cowpea, The villages in those communities that develop the cowpea should be part of the benefit sharing. When these plants achieve their commercial value, those communities should benefit from. And we think that these are some of the considerations that His Excellency the President should make. And it is quite unfortunate because in Uganda, President Museveni has refused to sign their bill based on certain clarifications that he wants to find out, and also on the risk of losing a lot of their biodiversity. You know, one of the greatest risks to our biodiversity is this bill because, you know, this sort of plant breeding is going to bring uniformity. But when you encourage local farmers to trade and exchange seeds, you'll find a wide range of different types of seeds because farmers all over the country are trading seeds and they're developing a natural seed industry.
But let's zoom in more into the smallholder farmers in Ghana. Exactly, it seems to me that they have a number of challenges. Exactly what are those challenges facing them?
Well, you know, smallholder farmers need roads from the farm to the market. Smallholder farmers need banks to give them credit, which doesn't happen. Smallholder farmers need the government to invest in more irrigation technology so that they don't depend on rainfall for their agriculture. And smallholder farmers also need more post-harvest infrastructure to be able to dry their commodities and not throw away the 40% of our harvest that we throw away every year. We believe that these are the low-hanging fruits that we must be targeting and not looking at, you know, like we say in local parlance, making it too long. You know, our local farmers need the support that they're not getting already, and we want to now provide a plant variety protection regime which looks out for the interests of international breeders rather than them. Like I said, there is no part of this bill which seeks for mandatory disclosure of where a company got the germplasm from. So a company could come to Ghana, take the germplasm for the cowpea, go to California, tamper with it in a lab, patent it, and come back and sell it to Ghana and not have to disclose that we got the germplasm from this cowpea from Salaga, Ghana. And we feel that that is wrong. And this is why we are calling on the highest office of the land, His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, not to assent to the bill, not to sign this bill. He's the last man standing. He's the one who will determine the future for plant breeding in Ghana and the future of our biodiversity. And we feel that this plant breeders bill, rather than liberating farmers, is going to put them into a regime which depends more heavily on the value chain of agribusiness.
So what should have been the ideal situation? Because you talk about how the thing was passed at your blind side. So definitely you were expecting some consultations to happen with you before the bill was passed into law? Yes,
certainly, because as one of the original petitioners to the bill in 2013, we felt that we would be invited to any you know, interaction with the government on this issue. And we were informed on the second day of a workshop that was held by the Registrar General's Department. We were informed by our colleagues on the Peasant Farmers Association that there was such a workshop going on. So we attended the second day and we registered our disappointment that we should have at least been invited. And so further to that, the Registrar General's Office and the Ministry of Trade invited us to a seminar where we were not allowed to voice any more opinions. We were rather just shown what it is that they're going to do. And since then, none of the changes that we were proposing for seem to have been incorporated. It is very sad because the last Parliamentary Select Committee interaction we had with the late Emmanuel Ejako, who was the parliamentary chairman of the scientific committee, he agreed that especially on issues around the Nagoya Protocol, where Ghana has already signed to protect the rights of small farmers, we needed to do some tweaking to the bill. So we thought that the government of Nana Akufo-Addo would come in and invite all the stakeholders back together again and discuss this. As I said, if you listen to the number of constituents that I mentioned, the Christian Council of Ghana alone probably represents about 60% of Ghanaians. So how is it that the Ghana Muslim Mission and the Catholic Bishops Secretariat and all these constituencies, the Peasant Farmers Association, how come all these interested stakeholders feel that there should be more inclusivity?
Okay.
So the president is a listening president. He has asked us to be citizens and not spectators. And we believe that in the interest of the good people of Ghana, he will allow for a discussion so that we can arrive at a mutually beneficial conclusion. both looking out for the interests of plant breeders and looking out for farmers.
Let's share experiences from other countries, and indeed if we need to take a cue from other countries. How does this particular bill operate in other countries?
Well, there are reports that indicate that most of the countries in the West Africa region who went and adopted this UPOV compliant regime have not actually had any improvements in their local seed sectors.
Okay.
Neither has it promoted the development of new plant varieties from local people. What you'll have is the influx of international, large multinationals who have the wherewithal and the economies of scale to move into a market. But when they do that, they come in with a certain price. Sometimes they even give the initial seeds free, and then we'll lose the small varieties that the local farmers have been keeping over millennia.
You talk about the bills skewing to protect large corporations. I'll come to that, but I just briefly want to find out from you, how can the Office of the President help in this? And which other alternatives are you vying for or advocating?
Well, the Office of His Excellency can just solve the whole problem by recognizing that the issue of food is something that has to include all stakeholders. So once His Excellency sees that the kind of stakeholders I've mentioned are standing on the other side of where he's standing, it is only right that he would try and pull them, so that we can meet at a halfway point. And that can be done through discussion. We are civil society organizations. We've approached this whole opposition to this plant breeders bill in a very civil manner. So it should be no reason that he can't call us to have a discussion, and then they can take a decision. But at least listen to all sides. Don't let us hear about an issue that we're supposed to be involved in from a third party and have to sort of force our way into the conference. And then the next time you call us, you basically sit down, invite us to lunch and show us the bill, and I rather justify that it is happening in other countries, so it should be okay for us.
Are you worried because you were not consulted, or indeed there's something wrong with the law in its state now? I mean, what are the dangers to biodiversity and food sovereignty as the law is now?
Well, like I'm saying, for instance, right now, there's no benefit sharing scheme, like I've said, in this regime. So any region in Ghana whose forebears and ancestors developed a product, let's say, for instance, alunguntungu, I'm using an example. And now that we know that alunguntungu has some anti-carcinogenic properties, somebody comes to Ghana, likes Ghana's alunguntungu, goes to a lab, tweaks it a bit and patents it and comes back with that same seed. They do not have to disclose that they got that alunguntungu seed from Ghana.
Okay.
And they do not owe the communities who developed that seed anything.
Okay.
But you can come, pick the seed, go quickly and come back and sell it back to our farmers at high prices.
So that's how the law is in this state?
That's how it's reflected here.
Okay.
There's no request and no mandatory need to reveal the source of the germplasm.
Okay.
There's no benefit sharing scheme in here. Farmers still cannot save and exchange the seeds. And seeds are common goods, just like the rainfall, the sunshine, the land. We live in a social community. So you cannot introduce that very highly Western capitalistic, model into these villages and into the lives of these people. And 60% of our people are involved in agriculture.
So you're advocating that all of these clauses be put in the law, or exactly?
We're advocating that there should be some tweaking to the bill. That, for instance, we've had a problem with clause 21, is it 21 or 23, which talks about the independence of the plant breeders' rights where it concerns the Constitution of Ghana. We understand that wording to mean that if a plant breeder comes to Ghana and something happens to happen with the products they bring, the laws in Ghana cannot reach and take remedy for any ills that we may want to cover. So there are problems with the wordings in the bill. There are problems with, for instance, the timelines in how long you are allowed to apply for the licenses, and the manner in which any plant breeder can apply for a license in their language. So an application can come in their home language. So if a Chinese breeder sends an application to Ghana, they can write it in Mandarin. That can never be in the interest of us to now, in hindsight, try to translate it. And with legal documentation, any one word can mean a whole difference in the structure. So we believe that such small things should be in the language which is our official language.
Okay. Of course. So have you made any efforts to reach the president, or have you had any engagement with the president to lay down your concerns?
Well, not directly, but we had a press conference last week where we gathered as a coalition, and we put out a press release calling on the president to do the right thing, not to assent to the bill, but to rather call for more stakeholder engagement. It was in the wisdom of the former Speaker, Do Ajaho, to put it on hold because he saw that it needed further consultation. And government is a continuum. So with the new parliament coming and parliamentarians representing their constituents who are Ghanaians, there should have been a continuum, and we should have had a continuation, not to be invited as a third party.
Okay. Edwin Kweku Ando Bafo is Director of Communications, Food Sovereignty Ghana. I'm grateful for your time, and I wish you all the best in your endeavor to get the president. He's been talking about the Plant Variety Protection Bill currently awaiting presidential assent, and he says that they're actually advocating that some revisions be done to the law to protect biodiversity and food sovereignty. Let's move on to other stories. Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma has revealed the outgone Special Prosecutor Martin Amido on his own offered the government the opportunity to respond to the findings of the corruption risk assessment he conducted contrary to claims of government interference. The president, through his executive secretary, in the 9-page 40-point response, among other things, described the claims as untenable and perplexing. We'll hear from Mr. Ponkroma shortly, but first we unpack the claims and responses in the following news desk report.
The first matter of failure to resource his office, Martin Amido in his resignation letter said,
the compulsion to use a limited number of staff in a 3-bedroom and boys' quarters accommodation undermined the achievement of the objects of the office and my undertaking an oath before Parliament. One cannot seriously continue to prevent and fight corruption by depending on a seconded staff of a 2-year duration who are looking forward to and or over their shoulders to returning to their main employers, who consequently may have more influence over them than the special prosecutor under whom they are supposed to work.
To this claim by Martin Amido, the government roundly and flatly denies and insists they had adequately resourced Martin Amido to undertake the duties of his office. In the response of the presidency, signed by Executive Secretary to the President, Nana Asante Bediatuo, it is claimed,
in 2018, an amount of 1 million Ghana cedis was released to your office to enable it undertake setup activities. In June 2019, your office requested and was granted commencement authorization to incur capital expenditure of 2.79 million cedis. You failed to make a request for payment in respect of this related procurement.
The response goes on to state that, quotes,
the compensation budget for the Office of Special Prosecutor in 2019 was not utilized because your office was not able to recruit relevant staff by the end of the year. In 2019, financial clearance was given to your office to recruit 249 staff. As at the end of the year, the staff had not been recruited. The failure of your office to recruit personnel cannot be laid at the doorstep of government.
The government further claims it identified a building opposite the Bank of Ghana Hospital in Cantonments. However, the special prosecutor placed a call to the Chief of Staff to indicate his preference for another building belonging to the erstwhile Ghana National Trading Corporation, close to the British High Commission. The government accepted the request, and whilst renovation was still ongoing, Martin Amido halted works and requested for a 10-story building at Ridge belonging to the GET Fund. The letter adds that after renovation, Martin Amido refused to move in because the keys to the building were disrespectfully sent to him in an envelope. On the other matter relating interference in the duties of the special prosecutor, Martin Amido wrote,
the one condition upon which I accepted to be nominated as the special prosecutor was your firm response to me that you will respect and ensure saying by your government for my independence and freedom of action as the special prosecutor. You, President Akufo-Addo, had labored under the mistaken belief that I could hold the office of the special prosecutor as your poodle.
Among other things, Martin Amidu alleged that the president had invited him to his office to impress on him to shelve his corruption risk assessment report, which had, among other things, made findings of bid rigging and conflict of interest against the finance minister, and also a negative anti-corruption assessment against the presidency in the manner it gave executive approval for the deal. The presidency responds by saying,
"At the outset, it must be made clear that throughout your tenure as special prosecutor, neither the president nor any member of his government has interfered or sought to interfere with your work. Your accusation of interference with your functions simply on account of the meeting the president held with you is perplexing. In exercise of what you considered to be your powers under Act 959, you had voluntarily proceeded to produce the Ejapa report.
It is left to be seen if, as characteristic of citizen vigilante Martin Amidu, he will respond to the specific issues raised in the response from the presidency to his resignation letter.
But Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma revealed Mr. Martin Amidu offered government the opportunity to respond to corruption risk assessment reports findings contrary to claims of government interference.
We respect Mr. Martin Amidu, and we respectfully disagree with these two arguments that he has put in the public domain. And for the purposes of the public record, it is important to state the facts as they are, and the public can make their judgment. Now, I hear my brother Bright talk about initialization of the office, and that government could have done better with the initialization of the office. Let me be quite clear. We don't need to mince words about it. When an institution is set up, a governing board is put in place, and persons who administer that institution are appointed into office. The responsibility of initializing the office is a joint responsibility between the one who sets up the office, i.e. government, and the persons who are seized with the powers to have that office functioning. You cannot initialize the office and hand it over to them to operate. What central government will do is to provide the resources and logistics that the persons who are seized with this responsibility require, so that they can also do their end of the bargain. Ms. Amidu has served notice to the whole world that the office of the president or the government of Ghana literally failed to do so, or to do its part of it. What we have done is to provide the facts that that is not true. So if any analyst now wants to go beyond that and say that we should have initialized the office and handed it over to Mr. Amidu, even Mr. Amidu would disagree with that view.
If you just joined us, you're watching The Pulse, coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on Facebook.com/JoyNews on TV, on Instagram, YouTube, also on JoyNews on TV. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to The Pulse. Now, let's get into our constituencies, because constituents of Asawase in the Ashanti region want special attention for their constituency to avert violence in the December 7 polls. The area has consistently been tagged as an election hotspot due to persistent tension between the two major political parties, MPP and NDC, as part of JoyNews' series on security in constituencies ahead of election 2020. Lava Femmes Nanaya Jima spent the day in Asawase and has filed this report.
The Asawase constituency is listed among hotspots in the upcoming election, with 53 areas under police radar. The quest of the New Patriotic Party to grab the parliamentary seats from the National Democratic Congress is said to be the cause of the high tension in the area. Several incidents have threatened security in Asawase constituency. In July, a national security operative brandished a gun at a registration center in an attempt to restrict some people from registering in the constituency. Pockets of political violence characterized internal activities of both political parties, mainly from internal race to become parliamentary candidates. Latest among incidents leading to heightened tension is the arrest of some NDC persons police suspect to be armed robbers terrorizing the region. Incumbent Member of Parliament for Asawase, Muntaka Mubarak, claims the police are unfair to the NDC.
I just want to remind the police, and we believe that they will do just, but emanating from what I saw yesterday in the court, I have serious concerns that if the police and the court fail our society, they should know they are contributing to injustice anywhere in the world.
Many in the constituency are concerned about security situation ahead of the upcoming elections. Some point to the existence of party vigilantes despite their disbandment.
We are not seeing the usual macho style and this kind of activities now, but who knows what is going to happen. The political parties should be able to apply the law and make sure that the vigilantes are totally eradicated.
The matter of insecurity and then vigilantes is almost everywhere across the country, in every constituency, in every region.
I will also urge stakeholders, especially the political parties, the CSOs, the clerics and the what have you, to come together to enforce fully the disbandment laws of the vigilante groups and activities. I think having them fully disbanded would be the best solution to causing these problems.
You may walk through these communities and you realize that our words, our communication between some of these youth will tell you that some of these activities is still happening.
Others observed the police, after killing of 7 Asawase constituents in Manson Kwanta, have refused to patrol the area. This, according to them, has resulted in the open use of drugs by the youth in the area, creating a sense of insecurity, especially as elections beckon.
There is a public toilet over there. When you go there, so far at least around 4:30 to 10 o'clock, Charlie, it's something else.
Yababesi police station. It was wasi. Ukoran about police station. Ukoran agajansha of Urukrum police station. But still, yani bambo biayo ababo aswasi.
If you call a police patrol that they should come, the guys are here inside the park smoking ganja. No one will mind you. So that's our main concern.
Both MPP and NDC, who are key actors in the coming election, have signed pacts to ensure peaceful elections. The NPP, as part of their campaign, is calling on all to use the upcoming elections to erase the violent tag.
We give our security just to make sure that all eventualities will be curtailed. Before then, I had gone to all the bases, both NDC base and NDC and NPP base, spoke to them. If you do things against the law will take its course on you.
But the NDC has a condition for peace, as Muntaka Mubarak explains.
We are assuring you can't call us. We'll work within the laws, we'll operate within the laws, make sure that we protect our constituency, do whatever it takes within the law to ensure that victory is secured for Asawase and for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, no doubt about that. We want to encourage the police to dissociate themselves with operatives within the MPP.
For JoyNews, Nana Ojima reporting.
And you know where to stay this election period is on your election headquarters. Let's now talk about the deadly coronavirus, because despite still faring better than neighboring EU countries, Germany has been struggling to curb coronavirus infections since it was hit by the second wave. My colleague Mapitsa Sebede has been getting updates from Berlin with DW's correspondent Emmanuel Chase.
Well, Chancellor Angela Merkel said 2 days ago, after meeting with the 16 state premiers, that the good news was that the exponential growth of cases stopped. However, the 7-day incidence is still way too high, with over 140 cases per 100,000 inhabitants and more than 14,000 new infections daily. Angela Merkel called again for everyone to limit their interactions to the the others to a minimum to avoid unnecessarily traveling, unnecessarily meetings, and that is something she would actually have liked to even broaden. She would have liked further restrictions. The goal is still to keep the schools open here in Germany, but other than that, all places of socialization are still closed. I'm talking about bars, about restaurants, about fitness studios, and the government warned that this won't change soon if the infections are not curbed here.
Now, how has the population reacted to the restrictions?
Well, the vast majority of Germans do support the measures taken by the government, even if it's fair to say that there is also a feeling of fatigue here. The first wave was well handled, especially if you compare to neighboring countries. But now, after a really mild summer with very few infections, all the restrictions are really weighing upon people again. And not only for people who are directly affected in the hospitality sector, for example, but everyone is bracing for a hard winter. And today in Berlin, as we speak, thousands of people came from all over the country to protest against the restrictions in place. They are very vocal, however, they do not represent the majority of the German population.
Well, the good news was that there is a vaccine in sight. Do we know more about when it will be rolled out?
Well, indeed, that was the good news. It came in a few days ago when pharmaceutical firm BioNTech, which is based in Germany and created by German researchers, say that they had found a 90% effective vaccine against COVID-19. The EU has already announced that 300 million doses of that vaccine had been ordered, and the German government is working on a vaccination strategy. They want that when the vaccine will be available, there won't immediately be shots for everyone, but instead that groups will be prioritized. For example, first responders like hospital staff or the elderly, for example. And here in Berlin, there's already 6 vaccination centers that have been set up, including 2 in 2 former airports in the city. And BioNTech said that they were hoping to be able to produce the vaccine during the first trimester of 2021, maybe as early as January next year.
And to former NDC flag bearer aspirant Sylvester Mensah, who says Ghanaians should find a place in their hearts to forgive the excesses during the military rule of Jerry John Rawlings. He is part of former schoolmates and government appointees who have been extolling the virtues of the former president after signing a book of condolence at the Accra International Conference Center. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
At this time of his departure, we can only mourn and appeal to those who have been victims of the excesses during his regime to have some space in their heart to forgive. Times have been rough, and the times and the manners when he emerged were completely different. The pressures, the demands, the slogans all fed into the actions and the excesses that obtained at the time.
It's day 3 of the signing of the Book of Condolence here at the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center. Well, when you come here, there are portraits and pictures of the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, here, basically summing up his life and what he stood for. Well, a lot of people have been coming here to sign the Book of Condolence. We've had some former students of Achimota School also coming here. I've been speaking to a lady, Gifty Anna Myers, who was a classmate of Jerry John Rawlings in the 1950s.
Each Christmas, we held a school play where we were taught to speak, elocution lessons, to speak. And Jerry Rawlings always played the lead role. His portrayal of Mark Antony in Julius Caesar is to be reckoned with. He brought the whole house down. All parents gave him a standing ovation. He was our Prince Charming in Cinderella. Yes, we would never ever forget Jerry Rawlings.
Former Ablekuma South Member of Parliament Fritz Bafo says J.J. Rawlings was the one who introduced him to politics. He has been talking about all the good times they had together and the values J.J. Rawlings stood for.
I've known Jerry, His Excellency, the late President, all my life. And I renewed my friendship with him in the late 1980s. And as a result of the friendship and the association, I joined the NDC at the beginning as a founder. I was one of the foundation members. And I've worked with the NDC ever since. I went into active politics at his behest, and I've not regretted it. He was a great man, a passionate man, a very kind-hearted man. And that side of him will come out now that people, now he's gone, people now can feel free to tell their stories of how he's been very helpful to them in many ways.
I've also been speaking to the 1967 year mate of Jerry John Rawlings. He has been talking about how J.J. Rawlings played an active role in the choir and in the cadet back at Achimota School.
He was not like anybody else. He was his own, very dynamic. Did everything, from sport to singing in the choir. Yes, he did. You wouldn't believe that. He was a choir boy, a Catholic choir boy. In fact, one of the favorites of the Catholic chaplain of the time, Father John. You won't believe it, but that's true. That's true. And even from school, he was a military man. Yes, he was in the Achimota School Cadet Corps, right from the start until the end.
And may his soul continue to rest in the bosom of the Lord. And that's how we wrap up the Pulse this afternoon. For more news and updates of the developing stories, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching.